Hey, welcome back. I am Amy and this is Resonating Art. Today we are making a bloom. I just put my casting craft in that little cup. I had 30 grams and I put 3 drops. I'm using Nic Pro resin. It was probably 91.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm pouring in my resin right now. I'm not going to use that third mold because I had another project I was going to use it for. I'm putting my interference mica powder in. It's from Let's Resin. I'm also using the Let's Resin alcohol drops. I think I used dark orchid and magenta. Now on the bottom one, actually on both of them, I was going to pour the mica powder before the resin, but I did not do that. So I end up pouring the mica powder on top of the resin in that bottom mold. I didn't do it with the top one because I didn't want 2 fails, just in case that was the case. The top one I just did like a rose, but it still turns out really pretty. Make sure you smash your mica powder against the side and break it all up. You don't want chunks of it floating around in your resin when it's trying to cure, and then you'll just have globs in there. So make sure you get it blended in really nicely. All right, I'm getting it poured around the outside. Then instead of doing this in 2 parts, instead of doing a bloom and then letting it cure and then doing something on the back, I went ahead and just did a bloom also right in the middle. Okay, here goes my alcohol inks. I'm using that dark orchid from Let's Resin. On the bottom one, I went ahead and just stayed with the dark orchid. The top one, I did add the Let's Resin magenta in the middle. And they do both end up getting a black background on them. I just really like to do that. It makes that color really pop. And I've noticed the casting craft, it's not super bright white. So on some of my projects where they're clear, it's a little harder to see, but with that black background, it makes your white show up better. I think I'm getting my piping bag ready. Yeah, there it is. Make sure, or anyway, I try to make sure my bag isn't so tight that as soon as I cut it, it just squeezes out because it's so tight, Just make sure there's some looseness in your bag so you're squeezing out your white. That's what I like to do. It works good for me. I did do really thick lines. I wanted to make sure they bloomed. And whenever I get to this temperature with thick lines, it usually always blooms. Now when I end up with a small hole in the piping bag and my lines are thinner, sometimes that middle section doesn't want to bloom. So I try to go with the thicker lines. My house temperature was probably, I think it was 72 degrees inside. That helps as well. The warmer it is, the quicker and the better your stuff will bloom. If you're gonna do a mold of like a bunny or something like that, you can use a low viscosity resin that's thinner. It doesn't have to be thicker. Okay, I'm making sure I get my blobs out with my little toothpick. Any blob you have, run through it with a toothpick and just kind of pull it through. That way it don't sink to the bottom and you have blobs on your finished product. When you turn it over, you're like, oh, because there's blobs there, That's disappointing for sure. All right, putting in the next mold, putting in my petals. Them lines are definitely thick, but they really did work out super good. All right, make sure you pull through the blobs on any project you're doing. Sometimes I use a purple and pink and yellow, and then I get this weird, ugly red. I'm pretty sure those are the colors that does it.
Blob up.
And it's disgusting.
Whoops.
I've got some coasters in there I won't even show because it's got this weird color. Even though there's a pretty bloom on it, there's a weird red in the background, and I do not like it. All right, I think I let this sit, put some black on the back, and then we'll get to showing you the finished product. I hope you have an amazing day. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please, hit the thumbs up. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a super amazing day.